In introducing Marcy, I want to tell you a story. Why the third item that we want to address here is the issue of labor rights. The issue of labor rights. Back in 2007, we started a campaign in Mexico because we won this Mount Olive Pickle Company boycott that broke open the largest labor victory in North Carolina since the J.P. Stevens fight.
Right.
And in that, we got the representation of, at that time, 5,000 workers, now 9,000 Mexican nationals that come with a temporary work visa in agriculture. The first thing we discovered, now this is part of the immigration law of the United States and why we need to reform it and why we need to have labor rights in that reform. That program replaced the old Bracero program of the 1950s that was eliminated in 1962 or 3 for its known cruelty to the workers that came from Mexico. They replaced it with this H-2A program under our immigration laws. And then in that laws, there is no ability of our government to make laws that cover that program from the sending country, in this case Mexico. So the Department of Labor could issue regulations, but they're not applicable in Mexico. And many of the abuses in that guest worker program originate in the sending country. They don't originate here. The main issue that we were fighting in the beginning of that agreement was the extortion and bribing of money for the visas by the recruiters working for American employers. So we addressed that in our collective bargaining agreement and wrote in there that our members under this agreement have a right to file grievances in Mexico over recruiting violations. And so we did that, start getting recruiters fired, thrown out, and changed the pay system, because at that time the pay system was you had to pay a fee for the visa and the interview at our consulate in Mexico. That money was handed in cash to the recruiters to give it over to the consulate. But instead of asking them for the required amounts, they expanded the amount. Instead of charging it at that time it was like $340 for the visa, the interview, and the inbound transportation. Under our laws, were supposed to be reimbursed when they arrived in the United States. And we filed a lawsuit to making that happen. So when they we related the agreement, the workers were reporting to us they were charging them $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, as much as $4,000 for that visa instead of the $340 that were the required fees. So we started filing grievances and complaining to the employers to hold the recruiters accountable. We got 2 of them fired. We did change the pay system to be transferred in Banamex to the consulate electronically and took the cash changing hands away from those recruiters. They hated us for that. And because of that, they surveyed our offices. They broke in a couple times. We have an office in Monterrey to oversee the issuing of these visas. And they were so angry at us that Santiago Rafael Cruz, who some of you may remember was here in Toledo, and he was deported to Mexico. When he got deported, I hired him to help run our office in Monterrey. He was one of my leaders that helped me do the education campaign to tell the workers, don't pay more than this amount for your visas. If you do, report it and file a grievance, and so we can address that under the collective bargaining agreement. When they did that and they started surveilling our office, they broke in a couple times, stole our computers one time, and then in the end, they took Santiago Rafael Cruz, they bound him and beat him to death in our office. We filed a complaint with the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. They came and investigated and declared a political crime. And since then, I have a protective order when I go to Mexico. The government gave me a cell phone with emergency numbers. If I feel threatened, I'm supposed to call that number, but forget it, I don't call nobody. Because there's a lot of corruption in the law enforcement in Mexico. I might be calling the people that want to get me. So I have to go in and blend in with the people, talk Mexican. And so that I know how to do. So what happened is that crime, our attorney started the investigation with the authorities, and they caught one person who identified the other accomplices, and the state of Nuevo León never went to pick them up. So somebody was protecting those killers. That's how widespread corruption is in this program, and you can't solve it without labor rights. I was so proud of Marcy Kaptur because she went with me to Monterrey and talked to the authorities in Nuevo León for a fair and honest investigation, which was one of the things that got us to get that order from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights to give FLOC protective orders. They forced the government to put surveillance cameras in our office to observe anyone that would come in and out of there. So we have some protective measures right now. Had it not been for Marcy's courage to go down into Mexico, down into the darkness, down into where the problems originate in this program, this is why we need immigration reform with labor rights. And Marcy was one of the people that helped us get that in the beginning. Thank you, Marcy.